Let's start by giving all praises to the Most High, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in Hebrew is the Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles by the Holy Spirit that taught us his truth. Honors to the brothers, making their bodies a living sacrifice to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, which is the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel according to scripture and according to prophecy. But the hopeful elect, being 1/3 of these people, that's going to return back to the Most High to receive salvation, while the 2/3 of our people who don't turn back to the Most High be destroyed in judgment. So we back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. This lesson is going to be Remember the Help from Heaven, number 23. And it's going to be titled, The Lord Made the Host to Hear a Noise. Again, the Lord made the host to hear a noise. So we're going to start here as usual, Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things are written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. So everything recorded in this book was written for our learning here in the future. And we in that future when we should know these things. And the help from heaven that our forefathers received before time. All of the times that the Lord came through. All that's written in the scriptures that the Lord did for our people. It was written to give us hope here in the future, which is now, when we gonna need it the most. Because it's gonna be a time of trouble such as never was. So meaning the help that we receive from heaven gonna be on a whole nother level. So the scriptures and the help from heaven that's recorded was just a small foreshadowing of what the Lord is going to do for us here in these times of trouble. And, the learning of the scriptures and what the Lord has done before, it opens your mind up to the possibilities of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Everybody that's without this understanding, and their minds are closed off to the possibilities of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So they're not going to know what to pray for. They're not going to know what to have hope in. All hope going to be lost for them. But only the elect is going to have hope. So we're going to get an account in the book of 2 Kings, the 7th chapter. We're going to read about some trouble, but we're going to read about how that help came from heaven. And then we're going to take bits and pieces of the story and speak about how it applies today in the spirit. So this is 2 Kings 7:1. Then Elisha said, Hear ye the word of the Lord. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, thus says the Lord, tomorrow about this time shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel in the gate of Samaria. Samaria is Israel. Then a Lord on whose hand the king leaned answered the man of God, and said, Behold, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, might this thing be? He said, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. Hey, so the Lord is preparing the famine. So now we get into the story. There were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate, and they said one to another, Why sit we here till we die? If we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit still here, we die also. Now therefore come and let us fall unto the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live. If they kill us, we shall but die. And a lot of our people is going to have this mindset in this time of Jacob's trouble, also known as the Great Tribulation. It's going to seem like that all hope is lost, that If the people make this move, they gonna die. If they make this move, they gonna die. If they make this move, they gonna die. And that is true for the 2/3 of our people. No matter what move they make, if they're not part of the elect, they are gonna die. But the elect is going to be delivered from the very same things that killed 2/3 of our people. Matter of fact, escape will be impossible. Escape will be impossible for everybody. Even the elect, escape is going to be possible. Hey, but the Lord is going to make it happen, because it's nothing for the Lord to reverse a situation. It's nothing for the Lord to take a situation and turn it completely around. Like we just read here, they just gave like 3 or 4 different options, and all of them led to death. But see how the Lord turned this around. But again, they say, while we sitting here to die, they go into the city, it's a famine in the city. They're going to die of the famine. If they sit outside of the city, they're going to die anyway. They figure, well, we're going to turn ourselves in to the Syrians. It's a chance the Syrians might leave us alive. Or the Syrians might kill us. But if they kill us, we was going to die anyway. A lot of people going to have that mindset. We're going to die anyway. So let's just go ahead with our move. And the elect, they're going to maintain that faith, that confidence in the Lord, and that hope. They're going to expect that hope from heaven to come through. But again, the setting is a famine. Because again, if we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city. The famine is in the city. But they say, let us fall into the host of the Syrians, which was one of the enemies of Israel. But let's show how this apply in this lifetime, here in this time of judgment. So we're going to hit Isaiah 3:1. For behold, the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. The stay and the staff, it represents the infrastructure, the support system that keep food in your house, that keep the grocery store stocked. The supply chain, that's what that represents. But the Lord said He's going to take away the whole stay of bread, whole stay of water. Now let's read this in the NLT for an easier read. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, the Lord of heaven's armies, will take away from Jerusalem and Judah everything they depend on. Every bit of bread, every drop of water. Bread represents food, but it says will take away, meaning it's pointing toward the future, meaning this is prophecy, and not the people, and not the land of Jerusalem and Judah, but the people of Jerusalem and Judah, which would be the people right here, which we are mainly found here in America. So it's going to be the worst famine known to man that come to America. And everybody's going to be caught up in it, and nobody going to escape except the elect. And that's why when we come to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall be suddenly found empty. What's your storehouses? Retail stores, grocery stores, your pharmacies. Because remember, Isaiah 1:3, the Lord will take away from Jerusalem and Judah everything they depend on. Whatever you depend on here in America, the Lord about to take it away from the people. And this is going to be the Lord's judgment. So you see, just how the people was in the famine back then, in 2 Kings 7:3, 7:4. If we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city. Well, we're going to find ourselves in the middle of a famine again. And then not only was it a famine, the enemies of Israel was nearby, the other nations. The sword was nearby. And that same sword gonna be sent after Israel again. Now, in this account, they 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 delivered themselves to the Syrians, but here this time of judgment, no, the enemy gonna come after us, and that's why when we get Isaiah chapter 59, verse 19, so shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood. See, when the enemy shall come. It's pointing toward the future. This is prophecy. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. What's the enemy coming in like a flood? Martial law. Martial law troops, UN troops, the military police, killer drones, mechanical dogs, swarming your city, swarming your neighborhood. But when the enemy come in like a flood, the Lord said what? He shall lift up a standard. Now this phrase, lift up a standard, let's see what it means.
Strong's H 5127. Noose. Noose. Strong's H 5127. Noose. Noose.
So pretty much, when the enemy come in like a flood, the Lord shall lift up a standard. The Lord is going to make a way for us to escape. Whatever the enemy thought they was going to do to us, it's not going to happen that day, because the Lord is going to lift up that standard. Now, that standard being lifted and how we escape, you know, that help from heaven, situations are going to differ. But the end result is the elect is going to escape. And the enemy that came in like a flood to cut us off, it's going to be a failed mission on their part. Now, back to the story, 2 Kings 7, we're going to get 3 again. And there were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate. And they said one to another, why sit we here until we die? If we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. That means die of the famine. If we sit still here, we die also. Now therefore come and let us fall into the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live. If they kill us, we shall but die. And again, people gonna have this mindset like it's a famine, the enemy on the way, is no way out. So people are gonna what? They're gonna give themselves over to the military police. They're gonna give themselves over to the UN soldiers. They're gonna be like, F it, take me to the FEMA death camps. F it, take me to the concentration camps. People gonna have that mindset. And what's gonna happen in there? They're gonna be getting tortured, put to death, experimented on. They body parts and their organs gonna be harvested, and they're gonna be getting microchipped. So that's what's gonna happen. But again, these men, they thought it was no way out. Our people gonna have that same mindset. Now let's see verse 5. And they rose up in the twilight to go into the camp of the Syrians. And when they were come into the uttermost part of the camp of Syria, behold, there was no man there. So they came to the camp of the Syrians. They found nobody there. Why is that? Because when all hope was lost, that help from heaven was activated. The Lord got active. Now let's get this real quick. It's 2 Maccabees 15-7, because that's gonna be the same case with us. You know, when all hope seems lost for the elect, when all hope is lost, when escape is impossible, the Lord gonna get active. 2 Maccabees 15-7, but Maccabees had ever sure confidence that the Lord will help him, and we should be developing that same confidence, that same faith in the Lord. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them. Because remember, the enemy shall come in like a flood. That's what? That's the heathen coming against us. which the heathen has always come up against Israel. But all of the nations in the world gonna come together one last time to cut off Israel. You know, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians here in America. He exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them. And we tell our people, hey, don't fear man. Don't fear him that can only kill the body. Not to mention, you know, victory is not in the multitude of a host. But let's keep going. So, not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, but to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven. So when the enemy coming in like a flood, when you're in the middle of a famine, when death seems imminent, when escape seems impossible, remember the help from heaven. Remember what the Lord did for our forefathers. Remember what the Lord did in the scriptures. All of that stuff was written to give us hope, to let us know what the Lord can and will do. And now to expect the victory and aid. What's aid? That's help. Expect that, because the elect already got the victory. It just needs to be played out. And now to expect the victory and aid, which should come unto them from the Almighty. So that's going to be that help from heaven. See, in these times of Jacob's trouble, everybody going to trust in man. They may trust in another man or other people, or they going to trust in themselves. But hey, whatever you trust in here on the earth is going to fail. You got to trust in the help that's coming from heaven. That's not going to fail. It says, again, not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, but to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which should come unto them from the Almighty. And so comforted them out the law and the prophets. So he started going into the scriptures in the Old Testament to do what? Withal, putting them in the mind of the battles they had won before. So he was going into the scriptures, reminding the people what the Lord had did before. He made them more cheerful, and that's what these lessons should do. That's that comfort. Okay, so now we see that the help from heaven is activated here in 2 Kings 7:5. Let's read it again and then continue. And they rose up in the twilight. Hit 4 again. Let me see. We know what happened. They pretty much felt like it was no way out. We could die in a famine, we could die here, or we can die with the Syrians. They rose up in the twilight to go into the camp of the Syrians, and when they were come to the uttermost part of the camp of Syria, behold, there was no man there. Why? Because, hey, that help was on display. Now check out verse 6. For the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise of chariots and a noise of horses, even the noise of a great host. And they said one to another, Lo, the king of Israel hath hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians to come upon us. So the Lord made them hear a noise, and they got spooked. Wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight, and left their tents and their horses and their asses, even the camp as it was, and fled for their life. So the Lord made them hear a noise, they got spooked, and the Syrians left and left everything behind. They ain't take nothing with them. So again, with these men, they was in the middle of a famine, and the Syrians was nearby. So that's the famine and the sword. The Lord got rid of the sword. He made the Syrians flee. Okay, the Syrians fled. You know, the sword is no longer a threat. But what about this famine? But again, remember, hey, they left everything behind. Now check out verse 8. And when these lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp, they went into one tent and did eat and drink. So the Syrians left everything so that these men could eat and drink, and carried thence silver and gold. So they ate and drank and got full, and they got paid off. And raiment, they found clothing and went and hid it. So they found so much stuff, they hid it and came back. That's why it says, and came again and entered into another tent and carried thence also and went and hid it. So there's pretty much looting the Syrians who had left everything behind. So again, um, Second Maccabees 15 and 8, wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, but to remember the help which at former times they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which should come unto them from the Almighty. So in this instance here, how did the help come from heaven? Simply by the Lord making them hear a noise. For the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise of chariots. So the Lord can make the people hear anything. He can make them hear Leviathan. He can make them hear King Kong. And then you know when you hear a sound that you never heard before, that's spooky already. So the enemy could be coming in like a flood, but they hear something strange and they turn back. And the sound that they hear be so terrifying that they leave everything behind. You know, they weapons, they vehicles, they food, they water, whatever they may leave. And this same miracle gonna play out again on a greater level. And then as the stuff gets left behind, what's gonna be the result? It's gonna be a failed mission on their part, those who came in like a flood to cut us off. But on the elect part, it's gonna be a success. It's gonna be victory. Because we see here they ate, drank, got gold, silver, raiment, hid it, went to another tent, did it again. Went to another tent, did it again. And not only that, I'm not going to read verse 9. I'm going to read it. And then they said one to another, we do not well. This day is a day of good tidings, and we hold our peace. If we tarry to the morning light, some mischief will come upon us. Now therefore come, that we may go and tell the king's household. So that's pretty much saying, you know, we found all this loot. You know, we got all this food, gold, silver, and drink. Let's go tell Samaria, you know, who was in the middle of a famine. You know, they didn't feel right keeping it all to themselves. So they went to go tell the king. And that's going to happen, you know, for the elect. And I got this real quick that I want to get in Second Ezra. Second Ezra 16 and 45. Give me about 20 seconds and I should be there. Dang. Second Ezra. I'm still not there. 16 and 45. It says, and therefore they that labor in vain. So the enemy, you know, that's coming in like a flood to cut us off. The enemy that's cutting off the food supply. You people out there that's stocking up food, ammo, water, resources, medical supplies. If you labor in vain. It says, for strangers shall reap their fruits and spoil their goods. So you people out there whom the Lord not dealing with, you stocking up all of that stuff, the Lord gonna have somebody take it from you. That's why it says, for strangers shall reap their fruits and spoil their goods, overthrow their houses, and take their children captives. For in captivity and famine shall they get children. Yeah, so the Lord is gonna have you people that the Lord not dealing with, you're gonna get robbed for all of your stuff. But guess what? The people who rob you, the Lord gonna rob them and give it to his elect. So for you people that the Lord not dealing with, strangers are gonna reap your fruits and spoil your goods and overthrow your houses. But the people who overthrow your houses, the Lord gonna spoil you them. And how did the Lord spoil the Syrians? He made them hear a creepy noise they ain't never heard before. So yeah, you people, y'all gonna get robbed and spoil you, everything taken from you. Then the people who took it from you, the Lord gonna take it from them. And the Lord not limited. The Lord could do more than just make you hear something that's terrifying. The Lord can make you see something. You see Leviathan or one of these newly created creatures, and you take off and leave everything behind. And then boom, the elect, they get the goods. They get the food, they get the drink, they get the medical supplies, they get whatever they needed. Because the Lord made them see something unfamiliar. Not even that, even smell. The Lord can make the people smell something. Even smelling, you can sense danger through smell. You be like, man, that don't smell right. Let me get up out of here. Because um, I think even Ecclesiasticus or Wisdom of Solomon, it speaks about the unknown, newly created creatures going to have a certain smell to them. They're going to smell out of this world. They're going to smell like that you should get the hell out of there. But yeah, the Lord is going to have you people he not dealing with. Everything going to be taken from y'all. The stuff that he take from y'all, the Lord going to take it from them and give it, to his elect. And Lord willing be a part of that. For example, one of these mansions, one of these houses in the suburbs where Edomites got all this food and stuff in the basement, hey, they might get put to death. They might get thrown to a FEMA death camp, and then boom. The hopeful elect, they on the run, they come across that house. They get in that house, take a shower, throw on some clean clothes, eat, drink, sleep, rest up, have a little bit of fun, and then keep it moving. And then it's a lot of houses with a lot of stuff throughout America. The elect, hey, they gonna be reaping everybody benefits. Everything that people stocking up and working for, what the scriptures say, they labor in vain. The only person that's gonna be reaping the benefits is the elect. So all the stuff that the world is stocking up on, the people in them underground bunkers here in America, the hopeful elect gonna be all up in that too. What you got in them underground bunkers, the Lord gonna take it from you and give it to his elect. So the elect gonna be winning. And now we're gonna get this. We're gonna hit this again. And these lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp. They went into one tent, did eat and drink, and carried thence silver and gold and raiment, and went and hid it. And came again and entered to another tent, and carried thence also, and went and hid it. All of that good fortune. Why? Because the Syrians heard a noise and took off. Now, we also going to get the book of Ecclesiastes 1 and 10, as usual. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? So seeing an entire army, seeing an entire military fleet turn around and flee because they heard something or because they saw something. People going to say, is this new? It's not new in the earth, but it's new to this generation. It had been already of old time, which is before us. So seeing situations get turned completely around, people not going to believe it. People going to see the elect winning. The Lord going to send thousands going to come after us, and the Lord going to send them back running. And then he going to take care of us. People not going to believe it, but that's that help from heaven. Now we know what the Lord is capable of. Now you can pray for your enemy or the heathen that's coming in like a flood, and you could pray that they hear a terrible noise. That noise will be frightening enough to make them abandon mission. Yeah, you could just, or if it's a house, and you just know they got some goods up in there, you could pray for the Lord to make them hear a noise to run up out of the house. They flee. Now, you get their food and drink and whatever else they got up in there because it's for the elect anyway. Yeah, what you people working for, it was never really yours. You know, you're gathering that for the Lord's elect, and the Lord wouldn't be part of that. But yeah, the Lord gonna take impossible situations and take and turn them completely around for His elect. But Lord willing, the formula of edifying. Until next time, Shalom.